Welcome back to the BetSurge Sports Preview Show. It's a fine Tuesday afternoon on December the 16th, and we're going to be talking about the Louisville and Tennessee game tonight. Louisville travels to Knoxville, enemy territory, Thompson Bowling Arena. Rick Barnes and the Vols are coming off 3 straight losses. They haven't played in 10 days. We got Louisville to open up at -1.5. It is closing at Tennessee -3.5. And we're going to talk about the game a little bit. So Louisville's 9-1 coming into this game. Tennessee 7-3. Like I said, they've lost 3 in a row. The series, Louisville leads the series 12-9, and we got our asses whooped last year at home in Pat Kelsey's first game. Something to keep an eye on for tonight. Maybe a little extra momentum. Nate Amintz on the other team as well. Those of you who remember the little carousel he took us on, could be some extra locker room material for Pat and the guys. So coming into tonight, Louisville's 11th in the net and Tennessee's 35th. In terms of the AP, like I mentioned, Tennessee is 20th and Louisville's 11th. And by the way, before I get too deep, there's some breaking news that Pete Nakos is reporting that Louisville is in on Dylan Raiola and DJ Lagway. For those of you who are keeping eyes on the football team, that's big. Maybe you don't like the Patrick Mahomes shit, but the kid can play ball. So back to basketball. So yeah, like I said, this is a big spot for Pat. We've only got one quad 1 win on the season right now. Kentucky is barely hanging on to that quad 1 status. Indiana and Cincinnati are both outside that quad 1 status, which is not ideal. Cats fans, I know you think that IU win on Saturday means something. It doesn't. They're not good. The Louisville score against them does not reflect the way that game went. It was won in the first 3 minutes, 16-0. But I digress. In terms of KenPom, Louisville's sitting at second in offensive efficiency and top 30 in defensive efficiency. We got a Tennessee team who is quite the opposite. They're lengthy, they're big. They've got Jacoby Gillespie at guard, who's definitely a stud, but their offense flows through, a little bit of what he starts with Ament and the big guy. Tennessee is sitting at they're sitting at top 40 in offense, and they are top 12 in defensive efficiency. So they definitely play some defense. But like I said, we've already knocked off Cincinnati, who was at that time, a top 5 team in defensive efficiency. So coming into tonight, the Sharps are all over Tennessee. In terms of the money, spread money, we're going 70% on Tennessee and 30% on Louisville. But as of earlier, it was strange. The money line money was 56% on Louisville and 44% on Tennessee. So there's been quite a shift. We'll see what that was all about. Kobe, you got anything to add?
No, I mean, I think that just really it's going to be a good game, the best game. Challenge-wise, I think Louisville's had all year. I'd put it right up there with this Arkansas one. I think you've got a Tennessee team that after 3 losses, they're obviously hungry to not go 4 in a row there. But I think Pat's got some extra motivation. And I know you're wanting to get into these picks, so let's do it.
Yeah, so, I think the play tonight is, we've had that kind of staple play where we've gone, Mikel over, Conwell rebounds, and Louisville money line. May remind some of you last year of, we had a little bit of a trend with a play that hit all the time with Chucky points and James Scott rebounds. But we're going to move away from that a little bit just because it's missed, 2 games in a row. And Ryan Conwell is an absolute flamethrower. I mean, I think he's shooting 43% from three-pointer on the year. I mean, the kid's on his 4th school, but hey, save the best for last. He's going absolutely nuts. He's averaging, I think, 20 points a game. So we're going to go with him over 18.5. Was that the number?
Yes, sir, it is.
Yeah, Conwell over 18.5. We're going to go with Mikel Brown Jr. over 2.5 rebounds, and we're going to go with Louisville plus 3.5.
Yep, and that's right at plus 320 on DraftKings. We're about to get this one posted right now. That's going to be our trifecta. Or not on DraftKings, on MGM. I apologize. And we're getting that published here in just a second. And this is honestly probably the one that I feel more confident in than I have in any in a while. I still think, and I'm sure you do too, Jackson, that Mikel number is low at that 17.5, but like not hitting that two in a row
Yeah,
is tough. And I think he's going to build that consistency, but I think, a lot of the reason that it didn't was honestly, I think that Memphis win was just like the definition of what it takes to win as a team. Uh,
right.
in the fact that, it was like, love seeing everybody on the bench go off like that.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
And
Probably the most complete performance Louisville's had this year so far.
yeah, no, and I think that with McNeely, the rebounding prop, anytime I can get him at 2.5 or 3.5, I love it just because he is very different than a Rain Smith in terms of like an all around athlete. They both shoot a similar percentage, probably a little bit
Right.
favoring Neely, but like he's not afraid to get dirty and go grab rebounds and like really competes for him. I think, and it could have just been like lack of due diligence on our end. We should have been in the lab a little bit harder, you might say, before that Memphis game. And like, they were an incredibly tall team,
Yeah.
and I think the reason that one hit was less about us and more about them just being so tall. I
Yeah,
think it.
that was just a tough one to bet on because
Yeah,
going into the game, I was like 15.5. That's ridiculous. I mean, you look at Penny Hardaway's Memphis Tigers and you see 5 stars out of high school. You see guys that were the best on their previous team. And for whatever reason, it's just not gelling. And I thought that their athletic ability would keep them respectable. I never think they were going to be in the game, but I
yeah,
thought we'd probably beat them by a dozen or so, control the pace the whole game. I mean, that game was never close. And so I apologize to everyone out there for not putting out Louisville minus 15.5 on Saturday. Clearly, I'm the dumbass. And clearly, Pat Kelsey wanted to teach me a hard lesson. And
yeah,
speaking of Pat Kelsey and back to Mikel's points and how he's had a slow stretch, he's a lottery pick. He came here to be the man, and that's fine. But on a Pat Kelsey team, winning is always going to be at the forefront. He would love for Mikel to get his every night, but not at the cost of winning. And I think it's been great to see that Mikel is kind of accepting that he's on a veteran roster with all this experience where he doesn't have to be the man in order for us to win. Like against Indiana, he was relatively non existent. And we jumped out to a 16-point lead. I mean, he had the cool dunk in the second half. Like he's out there, he's playing hard defense, but he wasn't that, offensive, Mikel that we're used to seeing. So I think that's been great to see that. I think he's growing up throughout the season. I think this Louisville team is already a lot better than they were 2.5 weeks ago against Arkansas. And I think they're going to continue to get better throughout the year. And we need to because, these quad one opportunities do not just, fall out of the sky. Like when you go to get a chance at Tennessee, you need to take it.
yeah,
When you get a chance against Duke, you need to take it. Unfortunately, our regional opponents have all let us down. Cincinnati wasn't as good as they were supposed to be. Memphis wasn't as good as they're supposed to be. Kentucky, obviously, they suck. Indiana wasn't as good as they're supposed to be. I mean, we beat all of them, and that's great. And I think we have a great team. But in order to get to that 2 line, Louisville needs some more quad one wins because I think Lenardi had us this morning as a 3 seed and the 12th overall, which is great. I think we're in great position, but you got to capitalize on these quad one opportunities.
yeah. I think you said it perfectly. Not to beat a dead horse, but I think another reason why we didn't factor in that Mikel in terms of points over tonight has to do with like Rick Barnes' identity. I think Mikel plays best when the team is not overly physical that they're playing. And I think this is a great night for him to do everything. However, I think that if there's one thing to question, it would be the scoring. But absolutely love this rebounding number all the way
Yeah.
down at 2.5.
And oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Let me get mad about something before the game even starts tonight because Jimmy Dykes is on the call and we're playing Tennessee. You guys know where this is going. He's going to talk about them like, they're the Lakers or whatever, even though they've never made a Final Four. So be prepared for Jimmy Dykes just to be on national TV, singing every praise he can about Rick Barnes and Nate Ament. And hopefully Pat Kelsey and the Cardinals can just handle business and get him to stop talking. So
Yeah, no, I think that that sums it up pretty good. Do you want to go into talking about a little bit these other state of these other programs here regionally?
Yeah. So, like I just mentioned, I think it's early. It is mid-December. So I'm trying not to overreact. But it's not been great for our, these teams we've relied on for these. Louisville got screwed last year. Being an 8 seed when you finish the year top 10 in the country, it really pissed Pat off. So he did everything in his power to try to schedule the best non-conference he possibly could. And right now we're looking at Indiana's 8-3. They're fine. They're 38th in the net, so they're sitting right outside that quad 1. They're right now quad 2. So I think Indiana's only going to get better. DeVries is in year 1. He didn't really get the talent pool that he wanted. If you've watched them, they're pretty one-dimensional. If DeVries and Wilkerson aren't going off, they're not great. And
Right.
Tucker DeVries is a hell of a player, I will say. And so is Wilkerson. I mean, a lot of you probably saw him drop against Penn State the other day. Kentucky is 7-4 and somehow still a quad 1 win. So I guess we can thank the Cats bias for once in our lives. So Kentucky, like I said, they probably think the sky is falling, and maybe for a minute there it was, but the season's long. They got a good opportunity against St. John's this weekend. Maybe the bald-headed lizard can prove that he's there to stay. We will see, because
Yeah.
it sure seems like Calipari's Hogs are looking good. So.
No kidding. Yeah. As you like to say, they fired the Hall of Famer for a bald-headed lizard. So.
Yeah. And, these lottery picks, they always complain about how they didn't win enough titles and got all these lottery picks. Well, now all these lottery picks are playing for Arkansas, and you got to play Arkansas. So what goes around comes around, I guess. Realistically, Kentucky will probably be fine. That SEC schedule just presents so many opportunities for wins, and when you've got a home court advantage like Rupp, there's a lot of good opportunities for a lot of big wins. So if I'm a Kentucky fan, I think the magic number this year is 19. If they can somehow get to like 19-13 and even just below 500 in the SEC, they can probably finish 8-10 in the SEC. I believe the SEC only plays 18 conference games. Correct me if I'm wrong. But if they can go 8-10, they probably get in. So,
looking at this Louisville game tonight, are there any other props that you do like?
Yes, there are. I love Sananda Fruit over 6.5 rebounds. I know a lot of people will probably shy away from that because you look at Tennessee's front court and they're long, they're athletic, they're talented. But Nate Ament is extremely frail, and he's not as good as he's going to be in even 6 months in a year. In a year, he's going to be probably 20 pounds bigger, playing in the NBA, and a much different player. But right now, he's not. And I expect Frew to kind of do what he wants to do there. I wouldn't even be surprised if Javon Hadley, gets into it.
I think it's worth noting that the Frew rebounds was another prop that we really like. We just did not include in this one. Getting that at 6.5 should be free money. I know I took that one separately. Love that line on him tonight, even though they're a little bit bigger of a team. I think his style is going to dominate a lot of that.
Yeah, and it depends where you're wagering on the game. If you're wagering on a book that has Kenai Ruth's K9, as everybody's starting to call him, on the book for rebounds, and it's a moderate number below 4, I would get all over that because he's starting to play a bigger role in this team. He came in against Memphis on Saturday and the first minute had, I think, 2 threes and 3 rebounds. I mean, he has all the intangibles. He gets rebounds. He plays hard defense. He's a Pat Kelsey player through and through. So if you see a rebound prop for him on any book that's reasonable, I would consider it.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. And I think, too, just absolute wild cards tonight are McNeely as far as points and just kind of seeing what he can do. I know he's been cold the last 2. And if he gets on a hot streak tonight, which I think we're trying to start hot, a lot of that revolves around him. That's, I feel like a lot of the reason, not putting blame on him, but we didn't start as hot as we could have against, an Arkansas, or even Memphis the other day, came out and missed a few. If he starts hot, I think those are when we really feed and have that just incredible start that we all want. So,
and the team's been shooting the ball a lot better recently. I think they hit 13 threes against IU, and then they hit 19 against Memphis, which actually ties the program record which we hit 19 threes against SMU last year. If y'all remember that, Rain Smith had 10 3-pointers. And I'm going to go ahead and call my shot that Isaac McNeely breaks that record this year. He's going to have one game. Who knows? It could be tonight. Knock on wood. Let's hope so. Where he hits 10, 11 threes.
I think you could see that out of him this year, or you could see it out of Conwell as well.
Yeah, 100%.
If he were to ever take that many, I know it's a little bit different of a role that he plays, but yeah. No, I love these Conwell scoring props, and today's the first one that we've gotten in a while that's been under 20.5. And honestly, that 20.5 was free money a lot of the time. Just beginning of the game, especially, that dude can dominate down low. For the role that he plays too, it's pretty incredible to just watch.
Yeah,
so, I'm all over that one as an individual prop as well.
My final thoughts on this game is, it's a clashing of styles. It's a backcourt heavy Louisville team versus a front court heavy Vols team. And I think one thing to keep an eye on is, we've been a little thin at the 5. Potentially, Fruit plays and then he gets tired, and Ali Khalifa just doesn't bring you a whole lot offensively. He's a great passer, but he's not really a great scorer. And I think we saw some flashes from Cason Pryor on Saturday that proved to me that he's ready to get back out there and make an impact. Defensively, as a scorer, as a leader on this team, I think he has a big impact on this game tonight, even if he doesn't score a whole lot of points.
Yeah, no, I think he's going to pretty consistently be eating into those Khalifa minutes, which is fine. I can't wait to see him look like he did last year. And the blonde hair really works. So, that's pretty much everything that I've got. I'm not sure if you got anything else.
Yeah, Adrian Woolley, Kobe Rogers, we didn't forget about you. Louisville has the deepest backcourt in the country. It's not even close. Those guys would start on any other team. Keep an eye on them as well.
Yeah, no, Kobe Rogers, that dude plays with effort.
Oh, my goodness.
To watch.
Yes, he's a junkyard dog. Any loose ball, he's getting it. I mean, that guy is a stud. He's probably my favorite player on the team right now just because he's a winner.
Yeah, and him getting up there in that dunk against Memphis.
Oh, man,
cool.
I didn't know he had that in him.
Yeah, but granted, it's not surprising. Like just the way.
No, it's not. It's not surprising.
That dude is so quick. It's really, and it's effort. Like he doesn't leave any on the table.
Yeah, the speed of this backcourt. I mean, Adrian Woolley can get around you in an instant. Michael can get around you in an instant. Conwell's not gonna freak you out with his athleticism, but he's incredible. Rogers is obviously lightning quick. It's scary, man. Let's hope they can put it together tonight.
Yeah, that sounds good. All right, I'm going to end it. Thank y'all for being